Hi, my name is Savannah and welcome back to my knitting or crafting podcast. Today is November 6th, 2022 and it's about 10:15 in the morning. I am struggling really bad right now to try to catch my breath. So I'm at the tail end of COVID. I got COVID this past week. Thursday I tested positive, unfortunately. So I've been down and out with COVID for the very second time. That didn't make any sense. For the second time, which really sucks. I'll be honest. It sucks having it again. Missing work, all that stuff. Sorry, Zeus. So yeah, and today I got up and I feel better. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get the dishes done, get laundry going, get all my stuff I need for the video. So that meant a couple trips up and down the stairs, and now I am struggling to catch my breath. I've been sitting here for a little bit, doing a few takes of this intro, which I am never good at anyways. And I still am struggling. And today I think I might be talking about my spiders. I know I've alluded to it a little bit in my past videos, and I will do this at the end so that if you're not interested at all, you can, go away or, turn off my video, do whatever you need to do. But, anyways, so yeah, I'm dealing with COVID. Sucks. What do I want to say? Oh, okay. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We have a finish. No longer spoiler alerts because it is finished. But I have my finished, what is this called? The Twist and Turns Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West. I finished it, and I finished it in the time that I wanted it to be done. So I wanted to finish it. Honestly, I was saying by Thursday, like when, the way that it was working is like each clue dropped on a Thursday 1 week. It was Thursday, October 6th. And then the next Thursday would be the next clue, and so on and so forth. So I'm like, well, let's just get it done before Thursday. If it had to carry on into that Thursday, that would have been fine. But I managed to get this finished Wednesday evening. So I was very, very, very happy about that. I'm not fully finished in the sense that I want to add embellishments. I'll show this more in just a minute. But when I went to go post my finished photo on Ravelry in the Stephen West Facebook group, as soon as I opened up the thread for the finished objects, one popped up that was absolutely amazing. So it was pinks. But what I thought was absolutely fantastic is that she had coordinating pom-poms dangling off of these, but she did all 5 of them, and then 2 more, one on each end. And so I was like, oh, I need to do that. And then the more I've been looking, I've seen people putting tassels at the end of this, but I think I want to do pom-poms. I've always wanted to put pom-poms on a shawl, and now is the time. So I have 2 pom-pom makers, but they are for like micro pom-poms, and I tried making 2, and while I used the exact same size pom-pom maker for both, they came out different sizes. So I think I want to make slightly bigger pom-poms. So once I am feeling better, I will finally be able to leave the house. I'll probably go to Michael's and get the 4-pack, the 4 different size pom-pom makers by Clover, I think it is. And then make them for this. And I'm just going to use the same yarn that I had for this. So all 3 colors. Since I have quite a bit, I should have brought it up. I have quite a bit. I haven't weighed it yet, but I have quite a bit of yarn left over from this shawl, which is okay. Anyways, let me go ahead and show you. So clue 1 was this section right here. Everything above the orange. So all of this chevron-y. Clue 1, which if you've been following along, you know. This was the Beast 2 knit. All these were little loops, and so you're casting on, casting off were binding off all the time, every 4 rows. It was a pain in the butt. And so I was about a half day over a week. So it was like 7.5 days to do this for me. And then clue 2 was this part, this wedge right here. These wedges, these short row wedges, they're in garter. And then these twisted rib little bits. And then the cables. Not the orange bit in the cables, but this and the cables. So both sides were clue 2. Then clue 3 was just this orange strip right here. So it has these twisted rib cable, 1x1 cables all the way down. So just this one, and the other side was clue 3. So that went by really quickly. So clue 2, I was able to catch up and not go over, not into like, the next clue wasn't released by the time I was finished. I was finished with that clue before the next clue was released, if that makes sense. So I did catch up. It was just clue 1 that was definitely a challenge. But yeah, this. And then there was an optional part in clue 3 to add these I-cord embellishments to the cables. So I wasn't sure if I would like them, so I only did 4 total. It was mentioned to do, well, the option was to do all 10 of them, but I only did 4. So yeah, and then clue 4 was doing these stripe bits here and on this side, and then it's hard to wrangle this thing. Then it was the twisted rib, and then this bit. This bit was, again, optional. You could do the twisted rib and then bind off right underneath, or keep going to elongate it. So when I was done with clue 3, I was really, really worried about how this was going to be finished. I knew we had to go this way because we had these long strips and live stitches along this edge. So I knew these needed to be filled in. But I was really worried about the depth of this shawl because I prefer deep shawls. And I was really worried that we were just going to do some weird bind off at the bottom here to secure these loops, and that would have been it. And I really was starting to be like, I don't think I'm going to like this. I don't think I will enjoy it. It'll just be something that I knit, and then that'll be it. I won't ever wear it, kind of thing. But when I saw that we deepened it there, I was really happy. I don't know. I know I'm really close to the camera, but it is my belly button's here. So from my neck to my belly button, that's pretty decent. I've actually worn this a few times already while being sick, and it's really warm. I'll tell you about my yarn in just a minute. It's really big and perfect, and you know what? I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I'm thankful that my colors worked out well for me. Sorry, my cat's right behind me and I don't want to sit on him. It worked out really well for me. The colors did, so I'm pretty happy about that too. I think the only other color schemes that I really liked were things that were like more neutral colors, like browns and rusts and creams. Those ones that I saw, absolutely beautiful. Like Martyn's of Knit 365 and is it Knitting Mel? She's a new podcaster here on YouTube. Hers were kind of in the similar colorway of the browns and rusts. Hers was really pretty too. So yeah, just gonna add pom-poms. So the yarn that I used, I picked out a single ply yarn. It is an organic merino single ply fingering weight, and then I dyed all the colors myself. So I found an inspiration photo online. I just googled like 3 color combos and a whole bunch came up, and this one was my favorite. I'll try to insert photos. This one was my favorite, so I based it off that. I went with I think I dyed the purple first just to see, because I was juggling between 2 different combos and purple was in both of them. So I dyed the purple first and then the dark blue. And then the orange. The orange first turned out a little too yellow, I think. And so I over-dyed it again, and I got this really nice. What was this? Like a peachy orange? I don't know what you would call it. Sorry, I need a sip of pineapple juice. Sorry, so yeah, this is my finished object. I have my very first Stephen West mystery knit along shawl. I don't hate it. It's perfect. I really do enjoy also seeing everyone else's. It's just fun to see what colors everybody else picked. I would love to see some where they use the Fangirl Fibers colorways. I haven't seen any yet, or like stumbled across any, but I think I would really like to see some of these shawls in her colorways. But anyways, okay, so I finished this Wednesday evening, which was November 2nd. I finished it November 2nd, and so that was a total of 25 knitting days for me. A total of 25 days of knitting, because I know when I finished Clue 3, I actually had 1 or 2 days, I think it was 2 days free, since I had finished this clue pretty quickly. So yeah, 25 days total. All right, let me show you what else I've been working on since I have 2 projects. Well, one is a whip, one is a new start, and then I have spinning, and then haul. Not really haul, gift, a little bit of haul. But okay, let me show you this. I didn't bring any tags with me. So right here, this little fun doohickey. This is my Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague. I think this is where I was the last time I showed you, so I've only done a little bit more since. I did try this on, and I believe it's going to fit me just fine. My yarn. Isn't this fun and bright and just in your face? Ooh, I wanted to stand out because I know I'm going to be wearing this at work. I work at a school. I am typically out on a playground supervising children, so I wanted to stand out so that the children, if they need me, they can point me out immediately. So this yarn is Kelborn Woolens in the neon lime color. This is the perennial base, I believe it's called, where it is merino and alpaca and nylon. So it doesn't feel like, I mean, it feels soft, but it doesn't feel as soft as this. This is, again, this is just 100% organic merino. This one feels really soft. This doesn't feel as soft, but I think once it's blocked, it'll probably feel a bit softer. But yeah, so I'm knitting this on a US 3, like a 16-inch, I think, circumference. What else? I'm getting about 8 stitches per inch. If you're familiar with the pattern, you pick your needles, your yarn, and then you just, per your gauge, that's what you pick in the pattern. So this pattern's written for like 5 or 6 sizes, and then for like 5 different gauges. So it's from 4 inches to 7 inches, I think. Stitches, I'm sorry, 4 to 7 stitches per inch. Obviously I'm getting 8, but I'm still just basing it off the 7. And I'm making the adult medium. I mentioned in my last video I was a little bit worried about size, since my head is a little bit on the bigger side. But again, I tried it on and it seems to be just fine. So not too worried there. So this is just a random bit to pick up. Okay, so my new cast on. This one I've been dying to cast on for a little while now. So I said, screw it. Let's just do it. I've wanted this thing for a little while now. I can't remember how long, but like I already had the yarn in stash, and so I was like, okay, we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it. Let me you know what, I can pull up, I have my tablet right here, so I can. So what I am knitting, I've wanted for a little while, is the Petite knit. Let's see if I can, there we go. The Petite knits, this is the Friday Slipover V-neck version. So I've wanted one of these for a little while. I didn't know what style of slipover that I wanted, so I have a couple patterns. I think I have 3, maybe 4 slipover patterns, but this is the first one I'm starting with at least. So it's this one. It is an all over broken ribbed V-neck slipover, again by Petite knit. So I've only made one Petite knit pattern in the past. It was the Sunday pullover. Made that a while ago. Used Wonder Fluff from Knit Picks, and that was probably my mistake there. The sleeves ended up like way too long, and I didn't bind off the neck or the bottom very well, and both of those were too tight. So I'm scrapping that sweater into something else. I might have to rethink that idea, but I know, and that was a couple of years ago when I knit that. So it's like, but you know, you hear a lot about Petite knit patterns all over the YouTubes and stuff like that. Let me just tell you, I struggled to read her pattern. It was so vague. This one is very vague. I had to go looking through other people's project pages and comments on the actual Ravelry page to figure out the increases for the back right here, because it was just so vague. I could not figure it out on my own. Thankfully, somebody else was having the same trouble and they got an answer. So I put that in my pattern, which I will add to my Ravelry page soon. It's if not by the time this video goes up, but it'll be soon. But yeah, I had to write it in down here. So I use GoodNotes. Is that good? It's GoodNotes, right? GoodNotes on my Apple. I prefer that over Knit Companion. It works better for me. But let me show you what I did. So I started this Thursday. Started this last Thursday. This is the back piece. And it's increased here. I'm a little concerned about the depth, but not too worried. And then last night I picked up for one of the front pieces, and then I'll have to do the repeat on the other. So that's the scary part too. So you have the instructions to do this side. This side, it just says mirror the left side. Just flip your, it says just flip your, make one rights and make one lefts. I'm like, so hopefully I can understand the instructions, but just mirror them, because that sounds ridiculous. That is way too vague. I don't know how old this pattern is. Let me see. I mean, because everybody talks about knitting Petite knit patterns. Are the newer ones? Oh shoot, I should probably go to the Ravelry page. I'm like, are the newer ones? Oh no, it's right here. Are the newer ones better? Do they have more instruction? This one was written in, it says copyright 2020. So, not that long ago, 2 years. But just that's so vague. And I'm not a beginner knitter, but with the amount of praise that Petite knit gets on YouTube and I guess Instagram, what if a new knitter would like to knit a Petite knit and they come across something that's so vaguely written? I don't know. I prefer things written out, you know, just, I mean, I like charts too, but I'm just saying, just explain the thing instead of saying, hey, just reverse what you just did for the other side. Don't do that. But yeah, that's as far as I've gotten. Hoping to get this done relatively quickly, but my yarns, I have this. I bought this a while ago, so I don't remember when, last year maybe, or earlier this year. Again, I don't know. Time makes no sense to me sometimes. And I think I bought this specifically to make a slipover, but again, I don't remember. This is Holst Garn Super Soft in the Sweet Pea colorway. It is on the purple-ish side. I was hoping this would be pinker, but it's okay. It's like a muted pink with a little bit of purple. So there's speckles in here, little speckles of orange, which is crazy, but not too bad. And I'm holding it double with this. This is the Drops Kid Silk. It's mohair, color number 3, soft pink, I believe. I'm running out of air. I really, really am. But I'm holding these two together to make the Friday Slipover V-neck version. I believe I have the non-V-neck version too. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. And that looks so tiny, but it does stretch to fit my shoulders. So, and I'm making the large size. I should say that because my gauge was off. So instead of trying to mess around with needles, I just went up a size because I seem to be having that issue. A lot of my sweaters, when I knit them, while they fit, they're a little bit smaller than I would prefer. So I think I should just start knitting larger if I'm not hitting gauge. I love pineapple juice. Okay, we'll go with spinning real quick. So yesterday, I finally finished spinning some fiber. I've started spinning. I started spinning this over a month ago. It was before it was way before the mystery knit along started. And then it took a back seat to the shawl, and the second half of the braid took a little bit longer to spin. I think it just had more fiber in it, but so the fiber, I don't know, yeah, Wound Up Fiber Arts. It's the Super Sock, which is 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, and the intentional colorway. So I think I have a photo of it before I started spinning it. So if I do, I'll insert it and then I'll show you what it looks like all spun up. So a lot more gray. It's still a little damp on this end. A lot more gray than I was expecting, I guess. The singles were darker. At least the first single was a lot darker. So let me just get this. So I spun this up into a 2-ply. I split the braid in half and just spun that. Normally I don't do that. Normally what I'll do is I'll take the braid, I'll split it in half the long way, and then I'll take each piece and split those again so I have less fiber to draft. And then I'll just do 2 of those onto one bobbin and then the other 2 onto the other bobbin, and then usually just ply those 2 together. This time I didn't do that, and I regretted it. It was a lot of fiber to handle. So I just gotta remember not to do that again. But yeah, a lot more gray than I was expecting. So it's lighter than the singles were, but I don't hate it. It's very pretty. What I'll do with this, I don't know yet. And I believe this is a sport to a light DK weight. I haven't weighed it or anything. Like, I haven't done all the stats for it yet. It's just, like I said, it's still kind of damp, so it's not finished yet. Needing to dry. But yeah, I really like this one. Pretty. There's some spots where the fiber wasn't very spun. Like, there's some. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. So yeah, I'm glad to have that done. So now I got to pick my next fiber. Which one? As much as I'd like to spin the one that I showed last week, I have so many old fibers that need to get spun up. So I'm trying to just do like oldest, maybe not oldest, but at least try to get some of the older stuff out of my stash before I do the newer stuff. I don't know. Okay, and then the little bit of acquisition that I got a little bit of acquisition that I got. I received an email from Yarn Harbor Duluth. It's the yarn shop in my hometown that I like to visit when I go back home. I wanted some more Rauma. And it's the okay, so I can't pronounce it because it's in Norwegian, but it's the 3-ply, what is it? 3-ply, it's the DK weight. Is it going to focus? This is the DK weight, Rauma. Sorry, my nose is stuffed, so, and I got, this is 111 and the brown heather colorway. And then I got, I'm sorry, I totally skipped over something else. And this is 106 beige heather. So what I was saying is I got an email from Yarn Harbor Duluth for my birthday, but I didn't get it until the end of the month. And it was for what, like 10 or 15% off your order. They were extending the coupon code since they did send it out at the last. It was like October 30th when I got the email. But because they sell this and I wanted, I was like, okay, I'll use the coupon code to get 2 of these because I'll make another pair of the elf slippers from I don't know the name of the designer, but it's in here, so I'll show you. It's in the 52 Weeks of Socks book by Lina magazine, or Lina, whatever you want to. I made a pair of these before. They're up on my dresser. Unfortunately, I wore a hole into the sole, like where the ball of my foot would be. I wore a hole into it, and I haven't yet repaired it. And I absolutely miss wearing those slippers. Favorite thing in the whole world. Absolutely love them. This yarn is so nice for a pair of slippers. So let me show you the pattern in here. Again, they're called the elf slippers. I believe you can buy this pattern separately now on Ravelry. Yeah, I can't pronounce the designer's name. But elf slippers, they look like that. So it's a pretty easy pattern. It was a little difficult for the very first one, but I know the second one only took me like 3 days to knit. And it's like 1 page of pattern and 1 page of chart. Hold it back here. See, pattern, chart. Super simple. I'm just wondering what color should I do for main and then what color for the color work. I was thinking about doing actually lighter with dark color work, but I'm not sure what I want to do yet. I wish this was enough to make 2 pair and just make them reversible, but I don't think it is. I think this is enough to make 1 pair. Because these are 50 gram. These are 50 gram skeins. Oh, 108 meters to 50 grams. So this one is a little bit more difficult. This type of label is difficult to understand. This label actually says it right here. So this one's a little bit more easy to understand. So yeah, this is what I got in the mail. And then the last thing I'm going to show you before I'm finished with the knitting and spinning portion, and I'll talk about my spiders. I got a little Halloween gift. So in the past I mentioned that I have a little like group of ladies. We kind of all met through Wool Swap. If you've heard of Wool Swap, it's like fiber share, but you swap with one person. Instead of it being a chain, it's just you and one other person swapping back and, Anyways, I met one lady through that. She met 2 other ladies through that. And then we kind of all just made our own little group, and we do mini swaps throughout the year. So this was our Halloween swap. Our next one will be our Christmas swap, which I need to get that going. But so this was my gift. She sent me this cute little bag. It says candy time with candy corns on it. And then she sent me a bunch of little goodies. So I'll save the yarn for last. She sent me a bag of candy. So it's caramels and then caramels and then some chocolate covered almonds, which I'll probably give to my children. They like almonds. I'm not a big fan. I'm so sorry for the stuffiness. I can feel it, like, she was gifted a little yarn cozy with Minnie Mouse on it, but she's not a big Disney lady. Like, she likes Disney, but not, like, a lot. Same, I'm the same, but I'm not gonna pass up a good cozy. It doesn't matter what's on it. Yeah, I'm not an adult Disney, or a Disney adult. Is that what they're called? People who are obsessed with Disney as an adult, are they just called Disney adults? I don't know. Anyways, I wasn't gonna say no. These are always great. And then she gave me a package of stickers. I'm not gonna take them out, but they're all plants. All plant stickers, which are perfect. Love them. A little yarn cozy, not yarn cozy, oh my gosh, a drink cozy. It says which, please. That's cute. And then a card, and then the yarn that she gave me. So, for the Halloween, our theme kind of for the Halloween bag was like a hat or an accessory. So we would each gift each other like a pattern or yarn for a small accessory. I think it was a pattern and the yarn. So I asked for the trailhead hat. Again, let me pull that up, sorry, because I don't know the designer name. And I know when you go into, when you try to search it on Ravelry, I couldn't find it immediately. It came up with a different pattern. But this is the Trailhead by Amanda Steinberg. Romptus Mix. It looks like that. Isn't that a beautiful hat? My local yarn store actually featured this. I don't know if Amanda Steinberg is local to me, but I know hold on, honey. My local yarn store advertised this on their... What?
Fast.
What, honey?
There's a giant spider.
Where?
Downstairs.
All right, I gotta go take care of that real quick. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just one thing led to another, That was probably a good 10 minutes in between that take and this take. Yeah. We get wool. I think I'm going to just assume or speculate. Maybe that's the word. We get spiders in our house quite often down in the basement. I'm going to think that they are wolf spiders, which I heard aren't terrible. They're just really gross looking, I'll be honest. They are not cute like jumping spiders, so they get really big, so we take care of those ones. Yes. Anyways, so I did that, and then I quickly vacuumed my daughter's room because it was just bothering me while I was down there. So, and then I switched laundry over and grabbed the towels and brought them up, so that way I can take care of them. Anyways, back to what I was talking about, the Trailhead hat by whom? Amanda Steinberg. Again, my local yarn store advertised this on their Instagram a while back, and I thought it was a beautiful hat. So when this swap came about, I asked for this pattern from my partner. And then she had full control of the type of yarn, that she would gift me with this. So anyways, so let me show you the yarn that she and my friend, my person out of the swap this time, she's a very good yarn dyer. She doesn't have a store. She doesn't do anything like that. She just dyes for fun and for friends. That's all she does, which is pretty awesome. But this time she decided to make labels, and I thought they were the absolute best things I've ever seen. So the yarn that she picked for me, or she dyed for me, this is, I guess, the main color. And her little, she wrote Savannah's Yarn Trailhead Hat, and then hand-dyed yarn by Meredith Harris. And I love it. And so she wrote a little description saying, heck yes, for a fun hat pattern and some lovely yarn to go with it. I felt like the rich brown tonal would look lovely with some jeweled tone minis. Enjoy. So yes, this is the main. And then she dyed up these minis to go with it. And again, it says the same stuff on it. This one she did write the yarn content. She put, you know, like it's superwash merino 75% nylon, 75%, and then nylon 25%, 20 grams, 4 ply, and then 92 yards, and all that other jazz she put on there. But she dyed up these minis to go with it. So that's a lot of fun. I really love these little labels that she's made. It's just the funnest thing ever. And then she threw in, she's so generous. She's so generous that not only did I get this mystery skein that she dyed up, but I believe she dyed up more for our other two ladies in the group. So while she wasn't obligated to send anybody else anything, she always does. She's so generous. So she did this beautiful set. This one's called the Wool Swap Dropouts Fall Inspired Skein. So that's what we call ourselves. We're the Wool Swap Dropouts. And then this one says, hooray for the Wool Swap Dropouts Fall/Halloween Seasonal Swap. This colorway is definitely more fall. Kind of reminds me of a grandma's floral patterned couch in the 1980s. I hope you enjoy the fall vibes and enjoy the season. I'm just like, yeah, it really does, doesn't it? This looks like one of those couches from the 80s, maybe the 70s. Oh, and then a pretty blue coordinating mini to go with that. So that's really pretty. This looks like it's again, she didn't put the yarn contents, but it looks like it's a 2-ply, so it's probably an 80/20 maybe. That's usually what a 2-ply is, so like an 80/20. What, miss?
I need help opening my raw bottle.
Opening it?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. You're fine. So yeah, that's what I got. Isn't it cute? Love it. So yeah, our next one is coming up real soon. We're kind of doing like a little 12-day advent. Whether that means 12 mini skeins of yarn or other goodies, it doesn't matter. I don't think a pattern is necessary this time around. I haven't heard. So yeah, that is it. That is all I have to show you. Now I'm going to put everything away and I'm going to go sit on the couch with my knitting and rest. Oh, it was the spiders. Spiders were next. Sorry. So yeah, if you do not want to see anything, hear anything I have to talk about these spiders that I have, that's totally fine. I get it. It's not for everyone, and I'm not going to force it on everyone. So if you don't want to see that, you can go ahead and click away. I'll say goodbye to you now. Thank you for stopping by and checking out what I've been working on lately. And if that's it, bye. If you do want to see what's going on, if you do want to see what's going on with all this spider stuff, I will let you know now. So gosh, it's probably been over a month now. This just showed up in my Instagram feed one day. You know how Instagram is. They just show you random stuff. I don't even know how this came about, but a jumping spider. Somebody's pet jumping spider showed up. I think it was Dee Dee, this jumping spood, or Dee Dee the jumping spooder. Just popped up on my Instagram one day. I thought it was absolutely adorable. She was such a cute little spider. She's a jumping spider. So think Lucas the spider, if you've ever seen that little animation. Absolutely adorable kind of thing. So I was like, how cute, you know? And then so I started following the spider, and you know, that led to all the other accounts showing up and just watching more and more of it on Instagram. And I was like, this is so cute. How fun. And then I looked into buying my own, because these people on Instagram, they actually breed these spiders and then they sell you the babies. They are expensive, not like super expensive, but they are pricier, and mostly it's just the shipping, because you know you're shipping a live creature, so you need to ship via FedEx, and it has to be overnight or 2-day, which can be around the $45 mark, 45 to 55. So that's a lot. So I was like, well, okay, it's not gonna happen. Well, one day I was over here by my plants, because this is where the majority of my plants are, because this is a south-facing window. So this is where we get the most sun. Open the blinds, and lo and behold, there's a baby jumping spider just hanging out on the windowsill. I'm like, what in the world? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I get a little Tupperware, catch the little guy, and then me and the kids, this was during fall break. Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, we go to Petco and we get supplies. I get some, I can't grab it because it's back there, but a little tube of like fruit flies from PetSmart. We get some other things that I thought I needed, like substrate and moss, and I got a little piece of cork, all from like the reptile section. And then we went over to Hobby Lobby for like, I was hoping that I could find like a plastic canister that I could drill holes into to make an enclosure, but they didn't have anything. They had a glass jar, and so I got that, but I didn't like it. So anyways, I had the spider in that glass jar for a while, and I thought I lost the spider, like I thought it died or something happened, because I hadn't seen it for a few days. And I even like took everything out very carefully and was like looking all over for it. Couldn't find it. It was a little guy. But I ended up putting everything back in it just in case, and closed it back up, put a couple fruit flies in there, and called it good. And then a couple days after that, the little guy was still in there. So I was like, oh. So I took him out and put him in a different thing so that I wouldn't lose him again. But it was like 3 days in a row, I would come in here, open the blinds, and it was like the first spider found. The next day, another little guy found him. And then the third day, I found a third jumping spider in my window. I was like, what in the world is going on? This is nuts. Unfortunately, one of them passed away. Just didn't want to eat or anything. I'm sorry, my nose. I have the original, and I have one of the other ones. I don't even know if it's 1, 2, or 3. I think 1 is in the big thing, and number 3 is in the other one. I can't remember. I really can't. I haven't named those 2 because I still don't know what they are, like boy or girl. I can't tell. They're too small. So I was like, okay, well, I have them. I kind of made better enclosures. I purchased some little critter catcher tubes. Here, let me grab one that has nobody in it. So there's nobody in this one right now. But I bought these little containers. I bought like a pack of 10. You can open up just like that. They got little holes for ventilation. I put paper towel and a little pipe cleaner in there just for them. I did find another spider on accident. I was in the kitchen pulling a piece of paper towel down to make breakfast, and the teeniest little guy fell down, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I put him in here, not even thinking twice, put him in here, teeny tiny little guy, and he was gone. He was so small he could fit through the little ventilation holes. So he's chilling somewhere. I think he might be in the plant that he was next to. Probably just chilling, living it up in there. I haven't seen him in the windowsills at all, so that's fine. He can live there if he wants to, or she, don't know. But yeah, I have to be careful with these because the holes are, I don't know if you'll be able to see. So while they look small, the tiniest of little spiders can get through there. Even some of the fruit flies can fit through these holes. So I have these for the small ones, and then I've made 2 enclosures using some vacuum sealed like containers you can get at Walmart. So I'll try to grab them. The mirror is kind of sitting right there. Let's see if I can grab a... Okay, I was able to grab all 3 without knocking the mirror over. So I'll go ahead and show you the very first enclosure that I made. This one has the very first spider that I found in there somewhere. Now I'm worried maybe it escaped somehow because I found a fruit fly just outside. I don't think so. It's not a medium size. I'll be honest, I honestly don't know. This is not the best made enclosure, but here's the... So this is like it. You just pull it down. This is from Better Homes and Gardens. One of these plastic tubes. You put them upside, or not tubes, but you put it upside down. You can drill holes. And so what I did was I bought a soldering iron because this is what I could find on the internet as a tutorial. A lot of people get soldering irons. They melt the plastic and then they can put like, I put tulle. And then I just put these wooden rings around it to hide some of the ugliness of the melted plastic and the hot glue, but it is not amazing. I really wish I could find the spider again. I saw it a couple days ago, but it could be getting ready to molt, so probably made a web somewhere and it's hiding inside. So they make like little things called hammocks, which are cute, and they just sleep in those at night. So I see 2 different hammocks made in here, but I don't know if it's in there. So yeah, definitely not a very good made one. I cut a little piece of wood in half and glued it down as a ledge. I made a tiny little ladder for it. I glued moss to the bottom, and there's a piece of cork that I glued, and then I made a little magnet hide for it, but I know the glare doesn't help, but this is not very greatly made. It's kind of ugly. It's just slapped together, not very good. There's a couple of fruit flies in there I added this morning for the spider. But again, I don't know where the spider is. I don't know if I have any openings along some of these holes that it was able to sneak out of. I hope not, but you never know. Yeah, if I find this spider, I'll probably need to buy a new one and just make it better, because my husband may help me make another one, but way better. Let me show you this one. So this is one of the other little spiders that I caught. As you can see, I have this is the toe of a nylon to cover up those holes. Like, it can still breathe, get air through it, but this little dude, I don't know if you can, right here on the wall, that little dude, he's been in here for a while, but yesterday, the day before, I came in here to check on all my spiders, and he was on the outside. He was just chilling on the wall on the outside of the enclosure. So that told me that he was small enough to fit through the holes as well. So I was like, oh, nope, not happening. Not happening. So I put the nylon on top just to keep him from getting out the holes. Plus, I think I feed him the smaller of the fruit flies, and they can fit through the holes too. So yeah, that's what I got going on in that one. Until this one gets bigger, he'll just stay in there. And then this one, this little spider is the biggest one that I have. It's probably from butt to head, probably about that big. My coworker found, we were at work and she was wiping off tables, and she's like, there's a spider over here, Savannah. And I'm like, oh, what kind? She's like, the kind you like. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I went over and checked, and I was like, yeah, it's a jumping spider. It's the biggest one I've seen so far. I want to take it home. So I did. I got a little styrofoam cup from work and some saran wrap, and caught the spider in the cup, brought it home. I had it in one of these little boxes for a couple days so I could make this enclosure with the help of my husband. I was really waiting for these vents to come in the mail, which I'll talk about in a minute, but yeah, absolutely love this little dude. I still can't tell if it's a little boy or girl, but we found this one on Halloween. So my kids and I, we named it Spooks, since it's a boy and a girl name, Spooks. Super cute. But this is the enclosure. I wish I could show better that I made for it. Again, one of those Better Home and Gardens vacuum seal canisters. I ordered these ventilation things on Etsy. So I got 1 inch and then 2 inches. They're 3D printed vent covers, so they just screw on, which is super awesome. I didn't bring the other one, but it's like a little screw on one side, and you just screw the vent thing, so you can just kind of sandwich them in between the plastic, or the plastic in between it, or whatever. So my husband has these really cool drill bits that are circle cutters. So he helped me, and it made this. There was no cracking, there was no melting of plastic. Absolutely fantastic, nice clean holes. So we have these two, and then this ventilation, and then where the Kleenex is poking out, there's a 1/2 inch hole that I'm still waiting. I ordered some little corks to plug this up. This is where you would probably put you would drop the food in through here for the little spider, but I needed it closed up, so I put a piece of tissue in there. And then there's little fairy garden things. So the little bridge, little house, there's little mushrooms, there's a little sheep in the background. I took a fake plant I own and cut a few stalks off of. This ribbon in the back, here, I'll turn it this way, is just magneted. I bought that on Etsy, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little disappointed in it. I thought it was 3D printed, and I ordered it with the magnet thinking the magnet would be glued to it. No, it's just an actual ribbon, like embroidered ribbon, and the magnets are not glued on. So I was like, well, that's not at all. I should have looked at the listing better. It doesn't say anywhere that it's 3D printed. I just assumed that. But the magnets, I really did think those were going to be glued on. So I don't know. That's just on there. You can use that so it helps with climbing if they want. Jumping spiders like to be up. So for climbing and stuff like that. And then I put the little leaves behind the house just for more climbing. And then I put felt on the bottom instead of using a lot of moss. This way it's cleaner, it looks better, and the whole bottom is cushioned in case the spider falls down, which happens. So a spider is right, oh goodness, right there. So that's Spooks. Super cute. Love watching it make its little hammock. So it made a hammock underneath the bridge last night to sleep in. And I was like, oh, Spooks is a bridge troll. If a fruit fly climbs over the bridge, they gotta be careful or else it's gonna get eaten by the bridge troll. So yeah. I think Spooks ate a little too much. He looks a little chunky. But super cute, especially when I come to check them out throughout the day. They'll poke their little head up and look at me. It's so cute. It's so cute. It's too afraid of me for me to hold it, which is fine. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that yet. I've never been a spider person, so this is like, I don't know, it's just fascinating to watch these little ones. I should probably put a little bit of water in there though. A little bit more. But yeah, this is a thing. So it's not like I'm actively looking for spiders. I think I just want to see how this goes. I don't know how old this one is. I believe it is a bull jumping spider. I can't pronounce the scientific term very well, but that's what I believe this one is. The other two, I couldn't tell you yet. Again, they're too small to even tell. But yeah, this is what I got myself into. So cute. Anyways, I don't know what else to say. really it. They're pretty easy creatures to take care of. You just feed them every couple of days. Mist their enclosure. You don't spray them directly. You just mist their enclosure for humidity and so they can drink some water off the wall. And that's about it. They should be good to go with all the places to explore. Okay. We're right there. Wow, it looks so big. It's really not that big. It's probably as big as my fingernail. So I don't know if this is a juvenile or if this is an adult. I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm still learning. This video is going to be long enough, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go there. And hopefully there's nothing I forgot. I will talk to you next time. Bye.